We were summoned to a basement in off Tottenham Court Road, and if I remember rightly, with a whole load of people there, half of them were Macs and half of them were guys.
Do you know how I remember it? I remember it turning up and going into a church hall where Steve Mangan was holding forth in a series of improvisations, from which a queue of troubled, tragic and defeated actors had left the room, having not been able to get a word in edgeways. It was like there was a whole series of piles of sand where little actors had been buried under the weight of his improvisation. And all I managed to do by chance was just... I was buried by him, but I managed to just get a little flag up through the top there. Just get a couple of little words in, a couple of little comebacks. And that was just enough for them to say, you know what, maybe these guys might be able to do something together after all.
It was a very torturous process. We came in to meet Vic, the producer and director and writer and creator. And then we had a whole day of improvisation where we got sort of brought in groups of twos and threes, and I remember doing an incredibly long-winded improvisation with Tamsin where I kept touching her knee an awful lot and thinking, I'm obviously trying to make this character lesbian. I don't think she's meant to be at all. She's meant to be mad for every man in the hospital, and I just was obviously after Tamsin.
And I was called in very early in that day, and I actually improvised with about 4 different Macs and 4 different Carolines and 4 different Stathams and 4 different guys and 4 different Martins. And the story is when I was auditioning with Steve Mangan. Steve Mangan came in the room. We were improvising away, and he basically completely wiped the floor with me. He either had me in stitches or had me speechless, like with kind of going with no comebacks whatsoever. And I came out and I said to Rachel Freck, the casting director, I said, I said, I just choked. I was terrible. So I was auditioning as well. I said, it's terrible. He wiped the floor with me. And I said, well, what do you expect? You put me in a room with Steve Coogan. What do you think's going to happen? And she went, what? And I went, Steve Coogan in there. And she went, no, he's Steve Mangan. He's not. And I was like, oh, and I've never felt like such a prat in my entire life. I'd spent about 20 minutes thinking I was auditioning with Steve Coogan. It was only bloody Mangan. But there we go. What can you do? I suppose that's a testament to Steve Mangan's talent, or Steve Coogan's lack of talent. Whatever way round, it's good for both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, the writing process is basically the writers will come up with a scene that's essentially perfect, and then it'll go into a workshop, and the actors will sort of basically ruin it.
Yeah, you turn up to rehearsals on the day, and you often say, that's, I've thought of a better line for this moment. So lines will go in, but it's written. The idea that it's mostly improvised isn't right. There's a team of incredibly talented writers beavering away for months on end on very little money and very little food.
How do you play? Years of sitting in cornfields playing an harmonica.
Woke up this morning, blues above my head. Woke me up this morning, blues all around my bed. 'Cause my ginger boy is sleeping like he's dead. Woke up this morning, blues around my bed. Woke up this morning, blues all around my bed. 'Cause my ginger baby's sleeping like he's dead. Not bad.
One of the opening sequences of the first episode is this dream sequence where the cast go in a lift in a real hospital and as they come out, they come into this huge sort of Area 51 control room. It's a fairly big challenge to work out whether to build that as a set or to find a location. And obviously the worry about building a set is the sheer scale of it would have been prohibitively expensive. So we were really, really fortunate. The location manager found Fawley Power Station, which had this control room, which was just perfect for what we needed. But there was quite a few sort of gaps where they'd had monitors and things like that. So we built in some light boxes that had some graphics that looked a little bit sort of high-tech, and we put all that in the background, and I had to build a lift which looked high-tech on the outside, and on the inside had to match the real lift, and it was lit fantastically, and it just looked brilliant and worked a treat.
Hold on. This isn't mine.
Good to have you back, Commander.
Thanks, it's good to be back.